Hey guys, it's officially is February 1st. We are in the last month of the cross-check season, and we're in week, I believe it is 8, I think. And so we're zipping right along here, which is crazy. And so I hope you're having a great week and in Christ, and great week just at work or whatever it is that you're doing. Wanted to come to you and give your weekly Devo this week. You can go ahead and get it posted. Last week, our question and answer dealt with how can we be saved, and that only by faith in Jesus and His substitutionary atoning death on the cross is the way. And we're going to kind of progress this week in our devotional question and answer and topic. And the question is this: what do justification and sanctification mean? The answer is that justification means that we have been declared righteous before God, which is only made possible by what we learned last week, by Christ's death and resurrection for us. And that sanctification means our gradual growing righteousness made possible by the Spirit's work in us. One thing that Dr. Young, our pastor here at Grace Evan, says is that justification is monergistic, that God does it, He does the work, and that sanctification is synergistic, that in God's grace and kindness He allows us to participate in sanctification. And so that's what justification means: our declared righteousness before God, by God, from God, for the glory of God, right? And it's only made possible by Christ's death and resurrection for us. And sanctification means our gradual growing righteousness, made possible by the Spirit's work in us. I've even heard it said that sanctification is the spiritual art of getting used to your justification. So the verse that I want us to kind of just focus on is Hebrews 10:14. Hebrews 10:14 says this: by a single offering, Christ has perfected for all time those who are being sanctified. So right there in one verse, Hebrews 10:14, we have justification and sanctification in one verse. And so just a very powerful truth. And so justification is the act of God by which He declares us, or declares on us, to be just or righteous or perfect, because by faith alone, we have been united to Jesus, who is perfect, who is just, and who is righteous. So justification is a legal standing before God, owing to a spiritual union with Jesus, which is owing to faith alone, right? You don't work yourself into or you perform your way into the standing with God. He declares you to be perfect because of your union with Christ, and that happens by faith alone. Now, sanctification is the act of God by which He, through His Spirit and His Word, is conforming you little by little, or in big steps, into the image of Jesus, His perfect record, right? So we are really becoming in our behavior. It's not about morality, but at the same time, because we have the Spirit, the power of the Spirit to fight and kill sin, we are really becoming in our behavior more righteous. And we're really overcoming imperfections in our sanctification. So again, our sanctification and things that we do are not they don't save us. Our morality doesn't save us, but that little by little or big steps sanctification process is evidence that God has done something in the past, right? Justification. So now here is the key question: how do these two relate to each other? And again, like I said earlier, the key verse is Hebrews 10:14. By a single offering, Christ has perfected for all time those who are being sanctified. I mean, really think of what that says. Who has been perfected for all time? It says has been, right? It's done. It has been perfected for all time. Those who are being perfected, being sanctified, being made holy. And all of this means that the evidence that you stand holy or perfect or just before God is that you are by faith becoming holy. And I know that sounds very paradoxical, very very paradoxical, but it's the key to understanding the Christian life. Another way to say it is like this: the power by which you daily strive to overcome sin, the imperfections in your life, is the confidence that you're already perfect, right? You have the record of Christ. And if you get these switched around, and if you think this, okay, God demands perfection. I've got to become, in my behavior, perfect. And then God will look at me and say, he's doing pretty good. We'll let him be perfect or count him to be perfect. But it's actually just the opposite. Because of Christ, we believe in him and what he did on the cross and his perfect life. And we believe in him. By that faith, God unites us to Christ. His perfect record is counted as ours. It's an amazing thing, amazing truth. And the evidence that we stand perfected in Christ is that we hate our sin, that we fight it, that remaining sin that we must daily battle. So now we daily, by faith in his promises, strive to overcome the imperfections that still exist. So my exhortations for you coaches, as you seek to do these things, would simply be this: please don't get this backward. The whole world gets it backward. The world is dead in sin, right? Other religions get it backwards. The other religions are dead in sin. Getting it backward means where our works and our efforts to overcome imperfection might make us pleasing to God, and that is not the gospel. You can never get to God that way. God reckons us as acceptable, makes us his children, adopts us into his family, counts us as righteous. And because of that righteousness, we then spend a lifetime becoming what we already are, right? And so that is a 8-minute look into what justification and sanctification are, how they relate, and what in the world we're supposed to do to understand them. So we'll be sending out some devotional thoughts also for your kids, a little bit simplified, but also it's important for them to understand, that their morality can't save them. Their kindness can't save them. They are dead in their sin too, unless the Spirit gives them life, just like us. And so that's the reality that we have to deal with. That God can save anybody at any age. He's God. He rules all. He owns salvation. He started it. He completes it. And so don't be afraid of engaging your players with these topics, with the trying to understand how are we saved, why is it important for Jesus to be God, why is it important that Jesus was man, and then ultimately, why is it important to understand justification and sanctification. And so appreciate you guys' attention. This coming week, on week 9, we'll delve into the question and answer of this: what is faith in Jesus Christ? What is it? What is salvation? And so we'll get into that next week. And so we'll look forward to seeing you guys around this weekend. We've got a couple more weeks of regular season games and then playoffs. But hey, this is our effort to disciple you, to come alongside you, and to point you to the God that saves. And so we love you guys. Holler at us if we can pray, if we can do anything to minister to love you guys better, and we will see you around this weekend.